Hats off to such a sum. The Crawford inheritance, 1879 to 1902. In context. Location, Paris, France. Theme, fake inheritance scam. Before, 1821 to 37. Scottish soldier and conman General Gregor MacGregor extorts money from British and French investors looking to settle in a fictional Central American territory. After, 1880s, American con woman Bertha Hayman, also known as Big Bertha, persuades dozens of rich men to lend her money with a promise that she will pay them back from a fictional inheritance. 1897 to 1904. Canadian forger and con artist Cassie L. Chadwick claims to be the illegitimate daughter and heiress of steel tycoon Andrew Carnegie and swindles banks out of millions of dollars. In 1898, on the verge of bankruptcy, a French banker named Girard contacted the woman with whom he had invested his fortune, begging for some of the money he was owed. The wealthy socialite Thérèse Humer refused. Girard put a gun to his head and pulled the trigger in despair. Girard's suicide was the beginning of the end of Humer's 20-year career swindling the French elite of nearly 100 million francs, in today's economy about $534 million. Fake inheritance. Born to Thérèse d'Arignac in France, she grew up an impoverished peasant. Although she was neither wealthy nor well-educated, Thérèse was charming and adept at lying and manipulation. She claimed she was of noble blood and convinced her first cousin Frederick Humer, the son of a prominent French mayor, to marry her. The two then moved to Paris, where her father-in-law's connections helped Thérèse to gain fame and influence among French society. In 1879, Thérèse told a tale of an unusual inheritance, claiming that she saved the life of American millionaire Robert Crawford while on a train journey. As a reward, Crawford supposedly made Thérèse the beneficiary of his will, with the provision that the fortune be kept in a safe until her younger sister was old enough to marry one of Crawford's nephews. However, Mr. Crawford didn't exist, and nor did the inheritance. Using the fictional inheritance as collateral, Thérèse began to borrow money from rich friends. While her husband may have been a dupe at first, he became her accomplice in the peril of lavishly on the borrowed funds. The Humers went on spending sprees, buying country mansions, a steam yacht, and fine clothing. In total, they borrowed 50 million francs, $265 million in U.S. money, on the promise of their mysterious fortune. Dissatisfied with the sizable sum she appropriated, in 1893, Thérèse launched a fraudulent insurance company, Viagier. The company targeted small businessmen with a promise of large returns on small investments. Thérèse and Frederic went on to squander more than 40 million francs, $250 million, with old investors paid using the funds of new victims. She persuaded me to lend her my money, first a title and then more, until all I have in the world has gone into her pockets. The victim of Thérèse Humer. In the picture above, the scandal attracted the interest of the press across Europe. The image of the arrest in Madrid was published in the Italian newspaper La Domenica del Corriere. Borrowed time. Following Girard's suicide, French investigators began to look into the Humer's financial affairs, but it was her creditors rather than the police who ultimately exposed the fraud. By the late 1890s, many of the people she had borrowed from joined forces and concluded that even her significant inheritance would not be sufficient to repay all of her extensive loans. Her schemes finally unraveled in 1901 when one of her creditors sued her. A Parisian court judge ordered the safe open to reveal nothing but a brick and an English halfpenny. By then, Thérèse and her husband had fled the country. In December 1902, the couple was arrested in Madrid and extradited to Paris. Both Thérèse and Frederic were sentenced to 5 years hard labor. Thérèse emigrated to the United States and died penniless in Chicago and Illinois in 1918. The power of persuasion. Con artists use the power of persuasion to swindle their victims. After identifying a target, a fraudster will study them, researching their behavior and talking with them to determine weaknesses. The con artist will then guide them toward their scam using flattery, fear, or the promise of wealth to gain the subject's trust and confidence. Typically, the lies are laced with enough truth to distract the victim and make the pattern more believable. If the victim objects, the swindler may play on their emotions to gain sympathy. The goal is to lie, cheat, and fool people with empty promises. Many successful con artists exhibit the same three traits: psychopathy, narcissism, and Machiavellianism, known collectively as the Dark Triad. These characteristics allow con artists to swindle people out of their money without the perpetrators feeling a sense of either remorse or guilt.